You know, there's this powerful mental shortcut that happens completely under our radar, and it shapes our judgments about literally everything, from politicians and products to the people we meet every day. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how it works. I mean, just think about it. You see someone who's good-looking and your brain instantly starts filling in the blanks. They've got to be smart, they must be friendly, probably successful, right? It's an almost universal experience. So, where does that assumption even come from? Well, the answer is a fascinating cognitive bias known as the halo effect.
So what exactly is this powerful force? Let's dive right in and get to the core of how this mental shortcut runs the show. Okay, so at its heart, the halo effect is actually pretty simple. When we see one quality we like in a person or a brand, say their appearance or one really cool product, we kind of let that positive feeling just spill over and color our judgment of all their other totally unrelated traits.
And yeah, they call it the halo effect for a reason. It's just like in those old paintings, right? That one shining trait puts this little halo over the person, making everything else about them seem just a little more angelic. It's really just our brain's way of saving a ton of energy by making a quick, efficient judgment.
But of course, there's a flip side to this coin. This effect has a dark twin, the horn effect. It's the exact same process, just in reverse. So if your first impression is negative, let's say you think someone's a bit unfriendly, you're way more likely to just assume they're also incompetent and probably untrustworthy. One bad trait can cast a really long negative shadow.
And look, this isn't just some pop psych idea somebody came up with. This thing has deep roots in some pretty serious research from like over 100 years ago. To really get it, we need to go back to where it all started.
So the first little whispers of this bias started popping up around 1907, but it was this psychologist Edward Thorndike who really put a name to it and studied it back in 1920. See, he was trying to figure out this weird consistent error he kept seeing in military performance reviews.
What Thorndike figured out was that these officers weren't actually judging each trait on its own. Instead, as he put it, they were forming this general good or bad feeling about a soldier, and then just letting that feeling completely color all the other specific ratings.
So in his study, he had commanding officers rate their soldiers on all these different qualities. And what he found was kind of nuts. Ratings for totally different traits were weirdly, super correlated. For example, a soldier's score for physique had a shockingly high correlation with his score for leadership and even intellect. The officers were letting one positive physical trait create a halo over everything else.
So Thorndike really kicked the door open on this, but all the research since then has found that there is one trait, above all others, that creates the most powerful halo, and that's physical attractiveness.
It's so common, it's actually got its own name, the what is beautiful is good stereotype. It's like our brains are hardwired to connect physical beauty with a whole laundry list of other good qualities. Whether they're earned or not. Okay, so there was this fascinating study back in 1974 that put this right to the test. Male students were asked to grade an essay, but they were given a photo of the supposed author. Some saw an attractive woman, others an unattractive one. Now, for a well-written essay, yeah, the attractive author got a little bit of a bump. But the real jaw-dropper was what happened with the poorly written essay.
And this is the key. The halo effect was way, way stronger when the work was bad. The attractive author's poorly written essay got an average score of 5.2 out of 9. But the unattractive author's exact same essay got a pretty dismal 2.7. I mean, it's clear we're just much more willing to give someone the benefit of the doubt, to forgive their mistakes when they're attractive.
Okay, so this isn't just some weird thing that happens in a lab. This bias has huge, real-world consequences, and it shapes our society in ways we probably don't even notice.
First up, marketing. And companies have absolutely mastered this. The classic example, Apple. Think about the massive success of the iPod back in the early 2000s. It was so cool it created this powerful halo. That amazing feeling people had for this one little device just spread like wildfire across the entire Apple brand.
Next up, let's look at politics. In politics, first impressions can be everything. And get this, it's just staggering. Studies have shown that snap judgments of a political candidate's face, made after seeing it for just 1 second, were actually pretty good predictors of who would end up winning the election. We just subconsciously link a face that looks competent with being a good leader. And finally, let's go to the courtroom.
You bet, the halo effect shows up here, influencing stuff as serious as guilt and innocence. But here's where it gets really interesting. This bias can completely flip on its head. In one study, an attractive defendant got a lighter sentence for a burglary, a crime where their looks didn't matter. But when the crime was a swindle, where they used their good looks to con somebody, they were punished more harshly. The jury basically felt like their beauty was used as a weapon. And that halo, it instantly turned into horns.
And that's a perfect lead-in to our final section here, because it is so important to remember this bias cuts both ways. The horn effect can be just as powerful and just as damaging.
Let's take a look at the classroom, for instance. In one study, teachers watched videos of child actors. When an actor showed behaviors linked to oppositional defiant disorder, the teachers ended up mistakenly rating that same child as being way more hyperactive than they actually were in the video. It's like the negative horns from one issue made them see other problems that just weren't there.
All right, so let's boil this all down. What's the big takeaway? The halo effect is a real, super powerful mental shortcut, and it works both ways. We've got the positive halos and the negative horns. And yeah, while physical attractiveness is a huge trigger, this thing quietly shapes our judgments across every part of our lives, from the stuff we buy to the leaders we elect.
You know, the real power in understanding this bias isn't about stopping it. It's about being able to spot it. Your brain is still going to make these shortcuts, but now you can catch yourself and question them. So next time you get that instant gut feeling about someone or something, just pause and ask yourself, is this based on the facts, or am I just getting blinded by the glow of a halo?